Let's do this. Thanks, Brian. Okay, so we are going to look at this. The creator, thank you whoever linked this, MDS325, the C++ creator calls for help to save the language from serious attacks.
It turns all your bad feelings into good feelings. It's a night.
Let's go look at these attacks. Bjarne Stroustrup wants standards body to respond to memory safety push as Rust monsters lurk at the door. This is pretty much everything I've ever wanted to read in my lifetime. Bjarne, creator of C++, has issued a call for the C++ community to defend the programming language, which has been shunned by cybersecurity agencies and technical experts in recent years for its memory safety shortcomings. By the way, I mean, real talk, if you use unique pointers, a lot of problems can be solved with that. C and C++ are built around manual memory management, which can result in memory safety errors, such as out-of-bound reads and writes, though both languages can be written and combined with tools and libraries to help minimize that risk. These sorts of bugs, when they do crop up, represent the majority of vulnerabilities in large code bases. With high-profile, financially damaging exploitation of these flaws, industry and government cybersecurity experts over the past 3 or 4 years have been discouraging the use of C and C++ while evangelizing languages with better memory safety like Rust, Go, C#, Java, Swift, Python, and JavaScript. That's wild. I mean, is JavaScript actually memory safe, or does it? I guess it is safe in the sense that you get to use all the memory you want, right? You get all the memory. The C community has responded with numerous proposals to move toward memory safety, including TrapC, FillC, MiniC, and Save C++, to name a few. But with Stroustrup, professor of computer science at Columbia University, raising the alarm, it's clear the issue is not just slow progress, but the absence of public narrative that can compete with the tech industry's adoration of Rust. In a February 7th note to the C++ Standards Committee in support of his Profiles Memory Safety Framework, he wrote, "This is clearly not a traditional technical note proposing a new language or library feature. It is a call to urgent action partly in response to unprecedented serious attacks on C++. I think WG21 needs to do something significant and be seen to do it. Profiles is a framework that can do it." So hold on. Let me get this straight. Is Bjarne, is he upset because everybody's dunking on C++ now? I mean, haven't we been dunking on C++ for like a decade and a half, long before the Rust frenzy ever happened? Isn't dunking on C++ just like an old-fashioned pastime? Haven't we just tried to find, haven't we always just wanted to get rid of C++, but who is we? Everybody? Even C++ dunks on C++, like even C++ devs dunk on C++? Now it's a coordinated attack? Okay. Linus Torvalds curses C++ to this day. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure that get off my lawn ++. I wrote code that uses libraries to make your terrible language good. This guy, I think, maybe not. There is something that's kind of funny. I will say that just like from a pure outsider perspective on this one, looking at this proposal and looking at this language, I assume this is actually true, but he writes a way to be able to do memory safety framework for C++ and then uses the upsetness of people as a mode to get it implemented by the working group. You know, this actually feels like if this, long as I'm not being duped as to exactly what he has said, this feels like amazing political maneuvering to get something implemented. It's literally using a very serious, intense language to create a sense of urgency, and then that his solution is the solution to solve the sense of urgency. It's quite brilliant. I mean, this is some brilliant writing right here. Let's see, his notes. His note continues. As I have said before, this is an opportunity because type safety and resource safety, including memory safety, has been a key aims of C++ from the very start. I feel like that's a bit of revisionism. I feel like that's a bit of revisionism. Right? From the start of this letter. To be able to say that C++ is like one of its aims has been to be able to create memory safety. I mean, come on. That can't, no. I don't know if I believe that. From the very start equals, I think this should be the start. Make C++ great again. He has always said that he will give C++ the features that people want. People want this. I'm sure people want this. Maybe. I mean, I don't know what the actual appetite for this is, but I would be surprised. I'm just a bit surprised. I am just surprised by the statement. It just seems a little bit. I feel strongly about this. Please don't be fooled by my relatively calm language. I guess I haven't seen a lot of his notes, so perhaps this is actually pretty mild and small language. Okay. Stroustrup is not known for Torvaldsian invective or hyperbole. The last time he used such emphatic language that we are aware of was back in 2018 when he asked C++ community to slow down and propose language improvements in a more coordinated manner. Dude, imagine if they manage their own tools. Like, will I ever get imports? We are on the path to something that could destroy C++. Warned at the time. We must get off the path. Dang. What are we up to? The rule of 7 at this point? People that are really good at C++, I mean, to be completely fair, people that are really good at C++ are also, they also like C++, right? They tend to be able to use it. Both articles, put both articles side by side. That's funny. In a February 13th message to the security-focused SG23 mailing list addressing skepticism that there's a threat to C++, Stroustrup pointed to a U.S. government's CISA Product Security Bad Practices report issued last October, citing the report's guidance that by January 1st, 2026, manufacturers should have a memory safety roadmap for products using memory unsafe languages that leads to the elimination of memory safety vulnerabilities, or should adopt a memory-safe programming language. Stroustrup observed, I consider that a credible threat. Yeah, but what, like, I guess the question I have to say is this a problem? Because this problem does exist, and we're all very, very guilty of this problem. Is this a problem where you create something, and then when you create something, you're unable to realize that some other alternative has come out that has some better principles to it and why people may choose it? Right? You know, like how you create a solution to a problem, and then someone creates a different solution and potentially arguably better for certain reasons, and then you're like upset and you try to make yours work anyways. I mean, I've been guilty of this. I think we've all been guilty of this where we maybe identify a little too strongly with what we've created. It's not even sunk cost. It's more like just like I don't want to use the term ego because I think that's the wrong term here. I think it's more identity. Just like your identity tied into this and why it's actually good. Like getting attached to your creation. Yeah, I've been attached to the creation. This product is my baby. I don't think it's sunk cost, because sunk cost is probably it just doesn't feel like the right term here. Just because he's been working too long, it might be something a little bit different. Probably not invented here syndrome either. I think it's his. He's been creating it. It is his. He knows it. And C++ is, I'm sure if you use it the proper way, C++ is a great language. When you know all the things and all that, it's probably great. But the reality is like, you know, if you get the proper MySpace angles, then yeah, really good looking baby. But in the light of day, maybe that baby don't look that good anymore, okay? He probably also sees the path forward, but he has to wade through organizational red tape. Yeah, I mean, he's created his own monster, right? The organization which was intended to make the process open and able to like move for everybody's benefit is also the organization that is not allowing him to move maybe in the way that's going to help, you know, C++ stay relevant. Because my guess is that the relevancy, this argument's going to be made nonstop ad infinitum for forever and forever, which is you can't write safe. You cannot have something safe because it exists. Like you are not allowed to have something safe you cannot create something that's embedded with an unsafe language, because that is like morally bad. It is bad. It is not just morally bad. It's going to cause all these different problems. And that's not necessarily true, right? Not all embedded things need to be written in Rust or in some sort of memory-safe language, which I'm sure other memory-safe languages are coming. I mean, Odin is able to have a very successful VFX stuff, and I wouldn't put them in under the safe category. All right, so I feel like there is a bit of like weirdness to our current programming world where a bunch of people who are not probably well-versed in a lot of the lower-level concepts are also calling for the destruction and the end of things that they don't really have a lot of expertise in. Now, to be fair, I don't have a lot of expertise in them either, but I recognize I don't have any expertise, so I don't really call for the destruction of things. Traveling abroad at the time the story was filled, Stroustrup told the Register he would like to elaborate further on the matter, but expressed concern that a hasty response might be misunderstood or taken out of context, but he endorsed the inclusion of his mailing list remarks. Stroustrup is well aware of the growing emphasis emphasis on memory-safe programming language. Having addressed these concerns directly in 2022 in a response to Microsoft Azure CTO Mark Rusanovic's call to halt starting all new I remember that. That was a tweet, right? That was a tweet where he effectively made a remark saying, why would you ever do that, right? Yeah. Why wouldn't they just... Why don't you just link the tweet? What is this nonsense? Just link the tweet. Oh my gosh, it doesn't exist anymore. He deleted it. Oh, dude, don't be a pussy. Dude, if you're gonna do that, you can't possibly, you just can't. You can't make a tweet and then back out of it, okay? Stop that. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous behavior. Dude, be a Chad, say what you're gonna say it with your chest. We all know you said it. Just say it. Anyways, I do remember this, and yeah, okay. I don't know. I guess in some sense, I don't think any of this is surprising though. Like, is anyone actually surprised that C++, a language that was already hated before by a lot of people, getting more reasons to be hated on, and thus people are hating on it more? Like, none of this should be. For me, it just doesn't feel like this is very surprising. Brushing off Rusanovic's remarks as infatuation with a shiny new language, Stroustrup responded, safety is obviously critically important in many contexts, so I have worked on increasing safety in C++ for years. Yeah, smart pointers would be a great example of that. He called for an evolutionary approach, modernizing C++ code to make it safer with tests and tooling, rather than a revolution that throws C++ out the window. I'd say that, for me, it's really hard to for me, the big thing about new tooling or new languages is it comes with tooling brought in-house. For me, C++, the biggest reason why I don't like C++ is that it doesn't manage its own tooling. And so if you ever want to use anything, it's like it feels virtually impossible to use any of the new features. And every time you go to any sort of legacy code base, it's like stuck in this weird window of unusability to update. And you're just like, well, we're on C++ 11. We can't unuse C++ 11. Just use CMake. But that's a problem, right? This is a fundamental problem, right? This is a fundamental problem with that approach, because you shouldn't, when you use Go, you build with Go. When you use Rust, you use Cargo. If you're going to use Odin by Ginger Bill for VFX, you're going to use Odin to build. Like, all of these things are their own systems onto themselves. And it's just wild that we live in this world, right? We live in this world where it's just like, no, it's okay. Just use cobble together a whole bunch of stuff. CMake being one of the worst languages you have to learn, and as the project gets inevitably bigger, just gets more and more redonkulous. It's impossible to get devs to agree on tools. For instance, we can't even agree on Clang tidy format at my company. Nevertheless, any other tools. I could go off on this. Maybe I'll write a blog post. Oh yeah, we actually did this at Netflix too. So there's 12 people on the team that I worked on, approximately 7 million line C++ code base, and in that code base, someone proposed, one of the ex-Chrome devs that moved over to Netflix proposed, let's have a format that we all use. We used a Ninja, by the way, and we had gigantic CMake files. We're talking about hundreds of them. And so when we did that, we proposed it. 3 months later, we finally scrapped the project because nobody could agree. But here's the deal. You can still have build systems that don't enforce formatting, right? You can still have Go build without having Go format. Notice that they're two different operations. To build does not require to format, right? And so, yeah, that's the position of Google. Let's see, that's a position Google has supported with its acknowledgement that legacy C and C++ will be around for years and needs to be managed. Yeah, it'll be around. I think I will die before all the C++ gets rewritten. But I feel like that is a guarantee I can make, that there is no end to C++, at least in my lifetime. But just this week, the Chocolate Factory made it clear it's more focused on memory safety future than modernizing C++. We are calling for a fundamental shift, a collective commitment to finally eliminate this class of memory safety vulnerabilities anchored on secure by design practices, not just for ourselves, but for generations that follow. The ad biz said. Classic ad biz. When I'm thinking about serving ads, I'm thinking about secure by design practices. Given CISA's call to deprecate C by 2026, there's not a lot of time left for the C community to respond. Robin Rowe, who's helming the TrapC project, doesn't believe profiles will arrive in time or that they're a practical answer. If you mark your code to enforce a profile, some features of the C++ language will stop working, he told the Register. It's like wall and Wextra compiler flags in Linux, except instead of escalating warnings into errors, it turns off pointers or arrays. What? Dude, okay, so I actually haven't read through what this profiles does, but I don't even I can't actually even understand what that even means. Like, what does it mean to turn off pointers? C++ coders would mark their code with a profile and then rewrite portions that break due to the profile's restrictions, Rowe explained. I think opt-in safety is obviously probably never going to sell either. Right? Opt-out safety is one thing, but opt-in safety is just never really going to sell for people. For example, a C for loop that iterates over a C array must be replaced with a C++ for each loop that does the same thing using standard vector. He said, calling it a regime to enforce C++ programmers to rewrite their code using the latest C++ core guidelines. Oh. Nobody has said to a C++ expert profile to become standardized by the ISO C++ committee or to be implemented in a compiler before 2026, Rowe said, who also doubts that DARPA's Tractor project, oh, by the way, if you don't know Tractor is using sweet-ass AI to rewrite C++ into Rust for automated C to Rust conversion. Oh, yeah, sorry, C to Rust conversion will be ready by then. Rowe has a horse in this race. He recently presented his work on the TrapC compiler, which he expects to be ready later this year, to the ISO C committee as a potential extension to the C programming language. On Thursday, February 27th, he answered the questions about the project during the ISO C committee standards body meeting in Graz, Australia. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Maybe I need to look into TrapC. TrapC sounds like it could be kind of cool. Okay. TrapC memory safe pointers, MSP, will not buffer overrun and will not segfault, he said. When C code is compiled using TrapC compiler, all pointers become MSPs and are checked. Does that mean it makes the language slower? Are these all runtime checked items? Is that what he's claiming? Rowe argues that other C and C++ memory safety schemes are not comprehensive. The vulnerability of programmer configurable C++ programming languages, language subsets, whether it's C++ profiles, C extensions, N3211 or others, is that memory safety isn't guaranteed to be consistent across all compilation units, he explained. Yes, slow C++, let's go. Compile time, I think? Oh, okay, so TrapC is a compile time checks. Oh, I wonder how that works, especially with just dynamic memory. No, it seems very interesting. Rust is not immune. Let's see. Rust is not immune. Is also vulnerable. Is also vulnerable. Okay, with subsets, it is too easy to create an unsafe hole where memory usage goes unchecked in what is supposedly a memory safe code. Rust is not immune. Is also vulnerable. Rust programs may open a hole using a Rust unsafe keyword and widely do so to access notorious unsafe C pointers. Notoriously unsafe. David Chisnall, a visiting researcher at the University of Cambridge and director of the systems architecture for SCI Semiconductor, which makes memory safety hardware based on the capability hardware enhanced RISC instructions. Cherry voiced skepticism about language level solutions to memory safety in response to Stroustrup's SG23 calls to arms. Very few things are written in a single language these days, and memory safety across languages is important. He wrote, if you write Rust core and with Lua scripting, but Lua doesn't respect Rust's unique ownership model, then that makes it very hard to interop safely. Tools for safe interoption are important. I think the most based part about that is that he mentioned Lua, and Lua is just so awesome when it comes to using, dude, if you're building UIs or kind of loosey-goosey parts, throwing in a quick little Lua interpreter and running it all through that is just so amazing. Dude, Lua mentioned, Lua, beautiful. Brazil mentioned. I actually have fallen more and more in love with Lua. I think Lua is great. Balatro, Lua. Roblox, Lua, right? Lua, I hardly know her. Yeah. Good luck securing your FFI layer. You can't make any assumptions about other languages calling your code. Exactly. There's a whole set of things. One index language mentioned. I actually hate that part. But yes, Balatro, yes, I believe it uses the Lua, whatever, the Lua game engine. I forget what it's called. Love Lua, something like that. TJ, right? TJ told me this. Love 2D, yeah. TJ, you told me this. I believe a lot of video games have used Lua for all their UI scripting. Yes, I meant the one-based index shade. Oh yeah, that's because one-based indexing is stupid. All right, incremental migration from C to the current C++ to C++ with stronger safety is a great story because you can do it in piecemeal. He explained. I don't see this as a good story. I'm not convinced that migrating from C to C++ is a good move. Sorry, Dan. I know Dan right now is dying. He's rolling over in his grave. He's very angry about all the words I'm saying, but I am not convinced that is a good move. Rewriting billions of lines of code all at once is a problem. Even if the end result is memory safety, rewriting code introduces bugs, and a lot of those will be safety or security critical. Selling a migration story from C to safe C++ dialect that people can do a little bit at a time or at a time over multiple years would be great for C++. I think it'd be better if you could do something with C. So TrapC sounds more promising. I'm assuming the TrapC, if TrapC is also opt-in, I mean, I would imagine that a bunch of C programmers would much rather use that than C++. It remains to be seen who will be the author of that story. That is, if memory safety remains a government concern, as Chisnall observed, the new U.S. administration has removed everything from the White House website and fired most of the CISA people who worked on memory safety. Yeah, I assume this is a whole, this will actually be interesting. My assumption is that this story will be brought back up and the exact same thing will be reinstated by the government again. That's my guess, is that the previous administration, everything got to go fire sale, and then once that's over, it's going to come back, right? It's definitely not a trap, definitely not a trap. That's my assumption, is that the government will continue to push that, because it makes perfect sense for the government to push, use them. Like, I totally get the government's approach to that, because they have a very strong motivation to be as safe as possible. Tax unsafe pointers, boom. Never trust the government. Well, yeah, that's my second move, is never trust the government. In before Eva finds the biggest government backdoor, here we go. The only problem with these new languages, Odin, Zig, Jai, is that they don't have a concurrent memory model. You mean they don't have send and sync? Are you trying to secretly promote Rust in this channel? Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to secretly promote Rust in this channel? Is that what's happening here? Odin, Jai, Zig, Ojism, right? Rust for the win. There in Rust memory model is a C++11 and C11 and C++ memory model. Can we send crabs out the crab people? You can. Yeah, I can. I blame CISA. Yeah, there's a plot twist. Yeah, there's your plot twist. Yeah, Rust only piggybacks on the C++ memory model. Without one, you can't write platform portable concurrent programs. Mail models? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure what you're trying to say here. Rust concurrency safety is also another win. Yeah. I mean, I do like Rust. I do like the fact that when you pass something between threads, it lets you know right away, hey, you're passing something between a thread and you can't do it unless if you have a way to make it safe between threads. I actually do like that alerts, because I have many a time using Go had concurrent map access issues. And that's simply because, you know what I mean? There's a problem, right? Whoopsie poopsies. Everything piggybacks on the O/S to some degree as soon as the concurrent processes are involved. That was never C's portfolio. C was supposed to write the operating system. Boom. Skill its use. Okay, calm down, quaternion juggler. Okay, not all of us are living in the land of imagination. Crazy. All right, hey, it is pretty funny that, I mean, I guess it is an unprecedented and serious attack on C or C++ because the government is now taking a stance against the language. So yeah, I would probably argue this is an unprecedented level of attack. And I could imagine that if I've devoted my life to creating something and it's crumbling now, one could imagine that it would be a very hard emotional time. I could get that. I think I understand, Bjarne. Sorry, Bjarne. It just turns out one of your aims you weren't very good at aiming at, you know? You know what I mean? It's just like...